All right. Let's see here. Welcome everyone to our very much anticipated webinar. Today we're going to be dropping our blueprint on how we made our first $1 million in revenue by wholesaling real estate. So I'm super excited to have you all here and really for what we have in store for you guys today during the webinar. So make sure that you cut off all distractions now, whether that's your TV, your phone, really anything that could take your focus away. I'd hate for you guys to miss something because of a simple distraction. So make sure you're distraction free and that you have a pen and notepad kind of handy because we're going to be dropping quite a bit of nuggets for you guys. Now, before we start diving into anything really, let's kind of take a step back and understand what real estate investing is all about. Real estate isn't, it's not just about buying properties. It's about being able to build wealth. It's about creating financial freedom, and it's about being able to secure your future. So whether you're looking to replace your 9 to 5, you're looking to build a legacy, or really you're simply just trying to diversify your portfolio, real estate investing offers unparalleled opportunities to do just that. Now, the reason real estate is such a powerful investment vehicle, it's really simple. One, it's tangible. Two, it appreciates over time, and it provides multiple streams of income from rental cash flow to appreciation to tax benefits. Like it's endless. But more than that, overall, it's really a way to just be able to take control of your financial destiny. But why is real estate investing so crucial? Well, the answer lies in what it can accomplish really for you. Now, whether that's creating passive income, securing your retirement, or even providing just a safety net for your family, real estate can be the key to really unlocking financial independence. Now, unlike a lot of other investments out there that can be a little bit more volatile, they require constant monitoring, real estate offers stability and long term growth. It's not just an investment, it's really a plan for your overall future, and with the right knowledge and strategies, you can really leverage real estate to create a life that offers you the freedom, the security, and just really endless opportunities. That's what we're here to really help you guys overall achieve. So, let's get into it. Now, if you guys are just as excited as we are, give us a thumbs up in the chat box. We're all about connecting. So, tell us what market you're in, where you're from, and also keep in mind, we do have our team moderating the chat to answer any questions. So at any time, feel free to ask your questions. Just throw them in there. They'll do their best to answer them. We're going to be throwing out quite a bit of acronyms that some of you, or it really just may be new to some of you. And that's totally okay. Again, we all start somewhere. So for, again, any questions you have, put them in the chat. And keep in mind, this webinar, it might sound a little bit intimidating, but just remember, you're here to grow. We're here to help you do just that. So with that, let's dive in to the agenda and what we're going to be covering in today's webinar. The first one is the 4 key pillars. This is our blueprint. This is what we have used to hit that $1 million in revenue. Now we're going to be diving into EOS. We're going to be diving into marketing, systems, and business ethos. Then we'll go into a Q&A session. We'll talk a little bit about what's next and kind of what to come. And then we'll wrap up with a thank you and kind of a big, I guess, finale, as you could say. So with that, let's dive in to the power of EOS. What is EOS? EOS is the Entrepreneur Operating System. It was created by Gino Wickman. He really breaks down this business model in his book called Traction in very extreme detail. And if this is a book you haven't come across, and I highly suggest picking it up. But in the book, Gino provides you the tools you need so you can fully comprehend the objective of the business model. It's a really incredible tool, and it's going to make a night and day difference in your business if you implement it. Think about it like this. Is it easier to shoot and hit a target you can see, or is it easier to hit a target while you're blindfolded in a dark room and there's no target to begin with? Which ultimately would you prefer? You see, EOS is what will allow you to actually see where you want to take your business. It is the engine, it's the transmission, the drive shaft, the frame, wheels, the fuel, you name it. It is all of that for your company. It is the business model we use here at DBRU, and it's also what we teach our students. But enough fluff. What is it? What exactly is EOS? Again, EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System. In order for any business to become so scalable, allowing it to really obtain the success a lot of people, I guess, just chase after, it ultimately comes down to one thing: you. Now, I recently heard a quote that I just could not get out of my head that I want to share with you, but it's this: if your company succeeds, it's your fault. If it fails, it is also your fault. Why am I saying this? I'm telling you this because this principle is essential for you to understand. You're not just someone looking to become a wholesaler or an investor. You are so much more to your company. You play such an integral part of your business. That is why it's vital for the success of your company that you understand that you cannot aim aimlessly. You cannot treat your business as a hobby and expect to make $500,000 in revenue. And you especially can expect to make $1 million in revenue. That's why I'm telling you this. You see, the first true key pillar is you. You are the first pillar to your business. It isn't EOS. EOS is simply a tool that you use to define, where you want to take your business and what kind of business you want to build, what kind of reputation you want to create for it, and the culture you want to build. But don't ever forget, your business, your company will only go as far as what you or those within your business know. Its growth, your company's growth is really limited by those who are running it. So now that we have that out of the way, let's really start off on the right step by first understanding how to build a truly solid foundation for your business. So back to our question: what is EOS? And again, write this down: EOS. It is the Entrepreneur Operating System. This is a business model that some of the most successful companies in the world use. And I'm talking billion, even $1 trillion companies like Google and Apple. Now, EOS, it consists of 6 essential components. You've got vision, you've got people, data, issues, process, and lastly, you have traction. Now, the first component we're going to be diving into is vision. We're going to be diving into the vision component, and this is going to consist of 8 questions that help organizations really understand their past, their present, and more importantly, really their future. So let's dive into it a little bit. So, what are the 8 questions you need to ask yourself? First, what are your core values? What principles are important to you? What is the compass you want navigating your business? Ours is family. We've got faith, altruism, morality, innovation, leadership, and these core values, these are our guiding stars. These values are not to be violated by anybody on the DBRU team. Your core values, they should never be shaken. They should never be violated. They should never be broken. And if they are, it is extremely imperative that you let go of that root cause. You need to find out what the root cause is, and you need to let it go. Because if you allow it to continue in your business, it will spread like a virus. It will slowly kill, like it will kill team morale. It's going to cause division. And if it goes on long enough, your entire team can fall apart. So very much like a flower getting way too much sunlight with very little water, your business likely, unfortunately, will wither and it may die off. And it's going to cause you to have to start completely all over. So now that we have your core values, what's next? Next is your core focus. What are you doing? Why are you doing this in the first place? Why is this so important to you? Your core focus, this is your mission statement, and it needs to be big. It needs to be bigger than you. It needs to be bigger than your team. I mean, this needs to be monumental. Why? Why is this so important that you have a monumental core focus? Let me ask, do you really think that wanting financial freedom or wanting to have time is really going to be a deep enough reason for you to weather through some extremely strong storms? No, it's not deep enough. You cannot have a surface level reason as to why you're doing this. When the going gets tough, and it's gonna get tough, that surface level reason, it's not gonna be enough. And far too many times have I seen so many new faces come in and also go out in this industry. Why? Because it's not an easy journey. It's not easy. It will not be handed to you, and it requires patience, it requires grit, a lot of faith, and it requires understanding. And don't get me wrong, we can keep on going about that, but I mean, unfortunately, we're on a bit of a time limit. So now ask yourself this: what is your 10-year target for your business? We've gone over your core values, we've gone over your core focus. What is your 10-year target? Where do you want your business to be 10 years from now? Now, don't be afraid to dream big. Like, the bigger, the better. Like, do not be scared of having a massive vision. Our vision here at DBRU is to completely revolutionize this entire industry by providing as many tools and resources that are essential for anybody to succeed in any aspect of real estate. To provide these tools to our students, to the investors we work with, and the agents of DBRU. And just imagine with me having access, just for a minute, having access to funding for your flips, or having access to education to learn countless of other different investment strategies. Just the ability to diversify your investment portfolio and like so much more. Like, that is our 10-year goal. It's massive. What is yours? What is your 10-year goal? What is your 10-year vision? So now that we've gone over our core values, we've knocked out our core focus, we've looked at our 10-year target, what that is, now you need to ask yourself, what marketing strategy can you implement to achieve that 10-year plan? What can you put into action? Now, keep in mind, like this, this needs to be very thoroughly thought through for sure. But I'll tell you this, one massive lesson that I've learned is I cannot wear all the hats. Okay. I can't. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I can't wear all the hats. Marketing is not my strong suit. So why am I going to sit here and try to pull my hair out, try figuring it all out? And again, I'm really kind of getting a bit ahead of myself because this is going to tie into the people component, and we'll get to that. But the point that I'm making is this: being able to delegate the marketing strategy to someone who's actually savvy in marketing is totally okay. Like this, it is a vital part of leadership, and you need to learn. And you also need to, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself. You need to learn, but you also need to learn and understand that you need to be able to delegate your weak points to someone else's strengths. And you have to. It's a part of leadership. It is inevitable. So if you're not too sure what kind of marketing strategy you can implement, that's totally fine. Find somebody who is savvy enough in marketing to help you break it down, because it's going to make a world of difference. And once you have this part down, now we're slowly beginning to funnel and dial in your business plan. We've got the 10-year big picture down. We've got the 3-year picture. What can you or what can you achieve in the next 3 years that's going to allow you to hit that 10-year mark? What can you do in the next 3 years that is going to put you in alignment on the right path for trajectory to hit your 10-year vision? Okay. What is it? Now, I'll tell you this. One key important element that we teach our students is how to create SMART goals. SMART, SMART, that's an acronym. SMART goals allows you to break down what you need to achieve into very specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-driven steps. So how do you correlate this into your EOS? Well, for your 1-year plan, you need to be able to create quarterly rocks. Your rocks, these are essentially going to be goals that you need to achieve in order to hit that 1-year plan that's going to put you in alignment for your 3-year plan, that is then going to put you in alignment for your 10-year plan. What we're doing is we are reverse engineering the entire process. You've got your core values, you've got your core focus, you've got your 10-year vision, you've created a marketing strategy you can implement to get to that 10-year vision by focusing on hitting a 1-year plan that is going to put you in alignment with a 3-year plan that sets you up for that 10-year vision. That's where we're at. But in order to do all that, you have to be able to hit your rocks. What are your rocks? Your rocks, these are essentially your goals. And you want to have quarterly rocks, and you need to be able to take these quarterly rocks and break them down into monthly steps. These steps, and also kind of getting ahead of ourselves here because it dives into the data component, but these steps are going to be your measurables. This is important. This layout for EOS is so vital. Okay. It is, I cannot emphasize it enough. This is such a vital piece of your company. If you want to make it past 6 figures and really be able to scale it to that 7-figure level, you need to have this business model implemented into your company. And when you have all of this down, when you've got your core values, when you've got that core focus, that 10-year target, your marketing strategy, when you've got your 3-year picture, that 1-year plan, your rocks and your measurables really broken down, you just created what is called a VTO. Your VTO is your vision traction organizer. And this is a document you should be reviewing very frequently with your team, especially during your weekly pulse meetings. Like when you're having your pulse meetings, you need to be reviewing this document with your team. And don't get me wrong, we'll talk about that more a little bit later on. But one very important component to this is really being able to dial in on your issues list. So what does that mean? It means you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. As a business owner, you're gonna have to have tough conversations. And when you have these tough conversations, you do not want to delegate that task to somebody else. So for example, if you need to let somebody go, you should be the one to have that conversation. But is that all an issues list is? No. An issues list covers far more than who should be let go. It covers the bottlenecks in your business. What are the problems your team is facing? Are leads falling through the through the cracks? Is the company missing its revenue sales target? Are the marketing channels producing good or bad leads? Or hell, it could be something like your processes may be too complicated. Can they be simplified? Maybe it's part of maybe part of your issues list is that no one's really hitting their KPIs. Like it is endless. Okay. There's a ton. Whatever your bottlenecks are, those need to be listed on your issues list. And when you host your weekly meetings, you need to ensure that everybody there, one, provides feedback and is also actively participating, but your team they need to be able to feel comfortable with being able to bring up any issues they face, even if it is employee related. And lastly, your VTO, again, this is a document that needs to be shared to everybody on your team. I mean, think about it. How else can you expect everyone to be on the same boat, rowing in the same direction, if they don't even understand your core values, if they don't understand your core focus or the vision for the company or your 3-year, your 1-year plan, if they don't understand the quarterly rocks, the quarterly goals, or the stepping stones to get to those goals, how can you expect everybody to be rowing in the same direction? You can't. That is why this is so essential to your business. That is why EOS is such an integral part to your business. And if this makes any sense, drop a bomb emoji in the chat, let us know, and let's keep going. So, the people component. We mentioned earlier that the first pillar to building a $1 million company begins with you, which is entirely true because it does. It also, however, really depends on the rest of the team. The people component is probably one of the most important aspects of EOS. You want to really ensure that you're placing the right people in the right seats. So you really need to figure out who you need on your team. And you want to do this by first recognizing your own strengths. What are you good at? And how does it correlate to your business? Are you a visionary? Are you better at sales than you are at marketing? And they're totally two different things, by the way. But ultimately, you really need to understand your strengths. And some of you may not be the best CEO for your company, and that's totally okay because you may make a great CMO, a chief marketing officer. You may be a great chief operating officer or a chief financial officer or anything else. So don't take any offense to that statement. But what you need to get is this: the CEO of the company needs to be a real strong visionary. Then you need to tie in a really strong integrator who can break down the vision into systems and processes. So here at DBRU, we have got a solid mixture of visionaries and integrators. And that's why we're able to really operate at the level that we run at. In essence, we have the right people in the right seats. This is important to your business. Now, what are the consequences of having the wrong people, the wrong seats? Well, let's look at a real case study that our co-founder Savannah went through with another team. So before we met, our COO was taking point in acquisitions for a well-known individual here in DFW, and their goal was essentially to wholesale creative deals. Now, right off the bat, I wouldn't recommend anybody to do this as a wholesale strategy for so many reasons, but that was their business model. And to make a long story short, and still kind of hit the points that I need to hit, in essence, the company just fell apart. The leadership team, they didn't have a vision in place for the company or any core values, and not to mention a core statement. So not only was the blind leading the blind, but they inevitably set themselves up for failure. Now, had someone who had experience in this industry, who had leadership, like a really strong leadership skill set, who just so happened to be a really good visionary, led that company and implemented EOS, then there's a probably like a really good chance that they'd still be around. Instead, the team members on that team, unfortunately, went months, almost a full year before they ever got a deal actually closed. And the worst part is these individuals were working full time. And I mean, when I heard this story for the first time, it was just so upsetting. It so so upsetting on how everything just kind of was going down. But nonetheless, obviously Savannah left them. She joined up with us, and I want to say within about 2 months, she had her first cash deal closed and funded. And since then, she's been with us every step of the way, and she plays such an integral part of DBRU, as does the rest of the team. But you see, when you're building a company, you are building a culture, and the people that you bring on are going to mold that company culture. So you really want to ensure that who you bring on your team is also in alignment with your company's core values. If there's anything that being in the Army taught me, is that your organization is only as strong as its members that are a part of it. Does that make sense? If so, put a thumbs up. If you're following, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, let us know. Put a thumbs up in the chat. Now, now it's time to talk data to y'all. It's so funny because I was going to put something else in there, but it's time to talk data to y'all. If you don't understand your data, you cannot project where your company's going to go. It's just not going to happen. It's kind of like throwing mud at the wall and hoping it sticks. And I'll tell you now that it's not. Okay. It is not going to stick. Your data is going to consist of your scorecard and your measurables. So what are some examples of a scorecard? Well, every position you have in your company needs to have a scorecard. Every position. So for instance, for your acquisitions team, if you need to be, or you really need to be tracking their daily progress, and you need to compare it to the KPIs that you've set for them. Now, if you don't know what KPIs are, it's no worries. They're your key performance indicators. These are essentially the goals that have been set. They're the expectations you have for a role. So for instance, let's look at acquisitions. What are some good KPIs? Well, ultimately, it's kind of going to boil down to two things: your lead source and your marketing channel. So here at DBRU, we emphasize working three different lead sources. And those are, and again, kind of getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to give you a snippet. Those are direct to seller, direct to agent, and direct to wholesaler. Now, when we track our KPIs, we have a bit of, different metrics for each lead source, but as a whole, what we look at is the total number of leads generated. We look at the contact rate, the average speed to lead. We look at the conversion rate, our cost per lead, and also the average deal size. So this data, what it does is it allows us to be able to make quarterly and even annual projections that are actually accurate by being based off of historical performances. But more so, we also track our daily and weekly call volume, the contact rate per call, average follow-ups per lead, and even follow-up success rate as well. So you see the data component of EOS, it's extremely important to really understand. It really is. It is so important to really understanding your company's overall performance. Without your data, you have no idea how your company is performing. And again, your KPIs, we had talked about this a little bit earlier on, but your KPIs, these are your measurables. And remember, our measurables, these are what we need to hit in order for us to achieve our rocks, or in simple terms, our goals. If we're not meeting our goals, we're never going to meet our targets. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, let us know in the chat. So let's talk about issues. Here's the thing. If you're not tackling issues head on, you're just letting them fester and grow. The issues list is where the rubber really meets the road. It is where you identify the bottlenecks, as we had mentioned earlier on. They're the pain points. They're the obstacles that are holding your business back. And as a leader, you need to be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. Again, I cannot emphasize that enough. You have, as the leader, you have to be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. Now, whether that is addressing underperformance or revisiting a failing strategy, you've got to face these issues directly. It is not just about putting out fires. It's about preventing them in the first place. Your issues list should be a living document. It's updated, it's reviewed, and it's resolved on a regular basis. Now, during your weekly meeting poll sessions, you and your team should be discussing these issues. You should be prioritizing them and really diving in and trying to figure out how you can solve them. The goal is to make sure nothing slips through the cracks, because at the end of the day, the only way to grow is to confront and solve your challenges head on. So if you're with us, drop a fire emoji, let us know. And if you have questions, make sure that you're putting them in the Q&A. There are two different sections. You've got the chat and the Q&A. If you have questions, throw them in the Q&A. But if you're picking up what we're putting down, let us know. Just put it on Q&A. Let us know. All right. Next up is process. So this is really where the magic kind of happens. Like your processes, this is your backbone to your business. There's a standard way of really just doing things. And everybody on your team needs to be following these processes. These are going to be known as your standard operating procedures or your SOPs. Okay. Now we're talking about documented, repeatable steps that make your operations just run smoothly and efficiently. And here's a reality check. You're going to want to write this down because this is really important to remember. If it is not written down, funny, that's a knee slapper. If it is not written down, it doesn't exist. You can't scale what you haven't systemized. I'm going to say it again. If it's not written down, it does not exist. You cannot scale what you have not systematized. Okay. Think of your process as like kind of like a well-oiled, I guess, well-oiled machine. Each part needs to be able to really work in harmony with the others to really be able to keep the business running smoothly, right? Your goal here is consistency. So whether it's how you onboard new clients or your new acquisition agents, whatever it is, to managing your finances or even closing deals, everything should be documented, reviewed, and optimized. This is how you achieve scalability and predictability in your results. And remember, the simpler your process, the simpler your processes, the easier they are to follow. I'm going to say it again. The simpler your processes, the easier they are to follow, and the fewer mistakes inevitably that your team's going to make. The more complex of a process, the more likely you're going to have more errors. So the simpler it is, the less errors. Keep it super simple. Finally, let's talk about traction. You can have the best vision, you can have the strongest team, you can have the tightest processes, but if you don't execute anything, it means nothing. It's all for nothing. Traction is all about turning your vision into reality. It is about bringing it into fruition. It's about making sure that everybody on your team is accountable for their role in moving the business forward. This is where those quarterly rocks and the weekly scorecards are really going to come into play. They keep you focused, they keep you aligned, and they keep you on track to hit your 10-year vision. To hit that 10-year vision. Traction is all about accountability. Traction, what it means is discipline. Again, it's discipline. It is about staying consistent even when things are getting tough. And it's easy to get distracted by shiny objects, but staying focused on your goals is what's really going to push the company to the finish line. This is where you turn plans into action and action into results. Every step you take gets you closer to that $1 million goal. So, if you're ready to put the pedal to the metal and really get some real traction, then let's keep the momentum going. But before we do, one thing I want to tag on is accountability. What is accountability? As a leader, it is so vital that you understand accountability is owning your shit. That is accountability. As a leader, you need to be able to own your shit. When things are going great, own it. When things are going bad, own it. As a leader, as a business, or as the leader of your business, you should never point fingers. You should never blame others for outcomes. Ultimately, it is your fault. Remember, whether your company succeeds, it's your fault. Whether it fails, it is your fault. So don't point fingers, hold yourself accountable, and do a better job. Okay? Do a better job. Now, let's press forward. All right. So now that we've kind of laid the foundation with EOS, it's time to talk about marketing. This is really where we're going to dive into the nitty-gritty of how you actually generate those leads that everybody wants, right? This is what's going to take your business to the next level. Now, there's 3 primary lead sources that every investor needs to really be able to master. You've got direct to seller, you've got direct to agent, and direct to wholesaler. These are, I cannot emphasize this, these are the lifeblood of your business. And focusing on just 1 or 2, it's really not going to cut it. You need to be able to hit all 3 of these to truly be able to scale and reap the rewards. Ignoring even 1 is like leaving money on the table. And we're not in this game to miss opportunities. So let's kind of break them down one by one. So first up is direct to seller. Now, this is probably one of the most hands-on approach, but it's also one of the most, I would say, probably one of the most rewarding. When you're dealing directly with sellers, you have the opportunity to really be able to build some meaningful relationships. You have the ability to understand their pain points, what is going on in their world, and you have the ability to be able to craft an offer or structure an offer that's really and truly in their best interest. This lead source, however, like it gives you the most control, which often can lead to, higher profit margins. But is it my favorite lead source? No, it's it's not. Not at all. And here's why. So when you break down the pros and the cons, this is what we've come up with. So starting with the pros. First, you have direct control over the negotiation process. So you really understand the ins and outs of the deal and also how you manage the seller's expectations, which is great. You also have you also have the ability to make higher profit margins as well, since you're dealing directly with the seller. Now, keep in mind though, it's not always the case, but it is often true. And you again have the ability to build a really personal, meaningful relationship. And it just positions you, it puts you in a position to where you can really help somebody that genuinely needs your service. So those are the big pros behind it. But what are the cons? Well, firstly, it's very time intensive. It requires a lot of legwork, and the sales cycle for it is typically longer than your 30 to 45 days. Then you have sellers who can be emotionally attached to the property, which might actually complicate some of the negotiations later down the road. And man, most sellers already believe that you're going to be giving them a low ball offers for the property before they even talk to you. So immediately you're already faced with sales resistance. And unless you're really savvy in sales and negotiations, that can kind of be a little bit difficult to overcome. And lastly, the lead volume. Oh man, the lead volume can be inconsistent depending on your overall marketing efforts and what channels you're targeting. And unless you have like a really healthy marketing budget to generate inbound leads, it can be extremely difficult to just create a consistent flow of business from this lead source alone. And let's not forget to mention it's also the most expensive lead source out of all three. It is the most expensive. So overall, direct to seller, it is powerful. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted. It takes hustle, persistence, and a lot of follow-up, and you have to have a good marketing budget as well. But if you're willing to put in the work, if you have the budget for it, the payoff can be massive and it can provide a really good ROI. But just remember, consistency here is what's really going to be key for this lead source. Next, let's talk about direct to agent. So this one is often kind of overlooked, but it can actually be a game changer. And if you know how to play it right, agents, for the most part, think about it like this: agents are in the trenches every single day. Okay. They know the market, they know the sellers, and they often have deals that, may never see the MLS. So building relationships with agents can really open doors to opportunities that other investors or other wholesalers would never see because they don't put the time in to build and really foster these relationships. But even with that, still, for transparency, it's not my personal favorite lead source. Let's dive into the pros and cons. First pro, you can get access to off market deals before they are publicly available on the MLS, which is great. Agents can act as advocates for your offers, especially if you build strong relationships, meaning you can have them as the buyer's representative on an agreement. So even if you're not familiar with how to structure a contract, the agent that you're working with can write it up for you, since this is really their bread and butter. Then you spend less time hunting for leads. Agents are often, if you build real strong relationships with them and you just stick on it with them, like you just foster these relationships, they can often bring you deals like just out of the blue. As long as they like, know, and trust you, they'll bring you deals. They essentially just become free bird dogs for you. That that's what I like when working direct to agent. Well, let's look at the cons. You're dealing with a middleman, which can sometimes really kind of complicate the negotiations, and often enough, it can destroy the deal. Second, most agents, they're not really investor friendly simply because they don't understand the investment side of real estate. So a lot of these agents are already against you. And for whatever reason, I hate to say this, but agents are really kind of motivated by commission. So they might push, for a higher price when presenting offers to their clients, even if it isn't in the seller's, truly in their best interest, simply because they make more money on the deal, even with it being against fiduciary duties. I've seen it so many times. It's kind of sad. Then you're competing with other buyers as well. So you need to be able to move fast in order to be able to stand out. And when you're dealing with agents, the majority of them focus, keep in mind, the majority of them focus solely on the transaction or the traditional side of real estate. So the likelihood of them, coming across distressed properties it can often be kind of slim. And that's going to make it extremely difficult to build a consistent flow of business unless you're talking with multiple agents at a time throughout the week. Direct to agent, don't get me wrong, direct to agent, it's really all about networking and relationship building. And agents could be, again, they could be your biggest allies or they could just be obstacles. But overall, like you want to make sure you're nurturing these relationships. And even though, they're able to bring you these deals if they like, know, and trust you, you still can't depend solely on direct to agent to be able to build consistency, but know that they are an integral part of you being able to build a pipeline of potential opportunities. They're still important to use. You don't want to just, you still want to connect with agents. They can be a really great source. Lastly, we've got direct to wholesaler. This is the source that can bring you volume. So when you're working with other wholesalers, you're leveraging their marketing and their deals. It is really a win-win if you do it correctly. And this lead source allows you to be able to scale quickly, but it also requires you to be sharp because on this side of the game, you're competing with others who know the business just as well as you do, if not maybe even a little more. So you need to be able to be in a position to add as much value as you possibly can to that other wholesaler. Now, when you're working with other wholesalers, the key is transparency. I'm going to say it again. The key here is transparency. Be transparent. For whatever reason, this word is just like non-existent. Be transparent. Do not pretend to be an end buyer. And by being honest and being upfront, you're going to build a stronger, lasting relationship. And that's going to be key when working this lead source. And this is my favorite lead source because I have the opportunity to help guide somebody to getting their deal closed. And I have the opportunity to add as much value as I can and pour in as much as I can into somebody else. But aside from that, let's kind of look at the pros and cons. So first off, high lead volume. Again, high lead volume. Wholesalers often, typically, are going to have multiple deals at a given time. You can focus more on closing the deal rather than finding them by simply just focusing on the dispositions and bringing in the buyer. So you don't even have to worry about the acquisitions. It's great for building a pipeline of consistent deals, especially if you have a strong network. It costs $0 in marketing, so the ROI is insane. And our average JV deal at times is the same, if not even more than a direct to wholesaler deal. It blows my mind. It really does. I never would have expected it, but it blows my mind. If the wholesaler doesn't want an exclusive joint venture, you can still offer a non-exclusive, creating a win-win situation. And that's a whole different topic that we could dive into at a later date. But to stay respectful of everybody's time, let's keep pressing forward. And most times, keep in mind this too, most times title, it's already been open. So you're not having to come out of pocket with the MD. The sales cycle is typically much faster than direct to seller or direct to agent. And if you focus on providing more in value than what you take in payment, you're going to be able to build repeat business with multiple wholesalers, especially if you can deliver. This allows you to build consistency. Now, those are the pros. What are the cons? Your profit margins can sometimes be a little bit slimmer since you're sharing a piece of the pie with another wholesaler, but ultimately it's going to come down to what you negotiate. You need to also keep this in mind, you need to be selective with about who you work with. And reputation in this industry does matter, and it does go a long ways. It is a small world in real estate. So be selective with who you work with. It's not worth working with everybody. So you need to use discernment. It can be competitive as well. So when you're working with other wholesalers or you're targeting other wholesalers, you're probably not the only one that's reaching out to them. So it is competitive. You're often up against other seasoned investors or wholesalers that are seeking the same deal. But if you focus on being relational, not transactional, that will set you apart by miles. Okay. Be relational, not transactional. You need to value the relationship and not be attached to the dollar amount. Value the relationship. Another big con, you don't have full control of the contract. You don't know how the wholesaler managed the seller's expectations or even how they position themselves in the negotiation. And sometimes, if we're being totally transparent, the underwriting may not be the best. Underwriting is a skill set in and of itself. But overall, direct to wholesaler is the source that can really help you scale fast, but it's all about who you know and how well you work together. And trust and communication are absolutely essential here. So make sure that you're aligning yourself with wholesalers who share your values and even your business goals. That way you can both win and you both grow together. This is all about relationships. It's all about partnerships. We all want the same thing. Let's grow together. Okay. So there you have it. The 3 lead sources that essentially will help you build a thriving 7-figure real estate business. And each source, again, has its own strengths and challenges, but together they create a balanced, robust lead generation strategy. So don't just focus on 1 or 2, focus on being able to master all 3, and then you'll be able to do this and you'll be unstoppable. But again, let's keep going. If you're getting nuggets out of this, throw a bomb emoji in the chat or in the Q&A section. Let us know if you think that we're dropping some nuggets so far. I really hope we are. Okay. Lead channels, lead sources, lead channels, totally different. You have got inbound, outbound, free, and a hybrid of all 4 lead sources. Okay. So, or I'm sorry, lead channels. Now, each lead source is essentially going to have different lead channels. So, for example, direct to seller is going to have different channels than direct to agent or even direct to wholesaler. And the same goes for them as well. Direct to agent was going to have different channels than direct to seller, so on and so forth. So do you see why it is important to understand your lead sources and the different marketing channels that are out there? So let's dive in a little bit into lead or inbound leads and the corresponding marketing channels that come with them. So inbound leads. Inbound leads are really my favorite, not because they're easier leads, but simply because it positions you as the authoritative figure when it comes to negotiations. Now, the big problem a lot of investors or a lot of wholesalers make is they assume that just because they have an inbound lead, that prospect is ready to sell their house. So they just come off as being a little bit desperate. They come off as being pushy or even aggressive with the deal, and they assume the close. Now, keep in mind, just because you have an inbound lead, it does not mean that that person is ready to sell their property. So when you approach these leads, you need to do so in a way where you're detaching yourself from the sell and you simply focus on finding out if there's even anything you can do to help them in the first place. And you do this by first seeking to understand before being understood. But sales and negotiations aside, when it comes to generating inbound leads, you've got several channels that you can implement. You've got SEO, which is search engine optimization, which is essentially your website. You've got Facebook leads. You've got Google PPC, which is pay per click. You've got PPL or pay per lead. You've got social media marketing. You can even create a whole referral program, but it doesn't really end there. Like where I think a lot of people kind of drop the ball is even email marketing. Email marketing can be such a powerful tool if you do it correctly. Then you've even got stuff like blogs and hell, podcasts, networking, even bandit signs. Bandit signs. Do not sleep on bandit signs. I know they're illegal, but don't sleep on bandit signs because if you know how to implement geofencing with bandit signs, you probably just targeted some of the best potential leads and some of the best areas with the higher end of buyers. So you're setting yourself up for success. Now, inbound leads, they may sound like they're really kind of the way to go. And to an extent, like it is a good choice because it does position you as the higher authority, allowing you to have a little bit more leverage, and these are really just, individuals that reach out to you, and it's not really the other way around. So you're not really chasing them. They're kind of chasing you a little bit. The conversion rate overall, your conversion rate with inbound leads should also be a little bit higher than outbound leads for sure, but there's a sweet spot to this, and it's not it like it isn't just based on inbound leads. It's not. So if you're currently focusing on implementing inbound leads in your business, perfect. I love it. But if that's all you're focusing on, you're shooting yourself short. You are shooting yourself short. There's more. You've got outbound, you've got free, and then you've got a hybrid, which is the absolute sweet spot of all of them. So if you're implementing inbound leads into your business, tell us what channels you're targeting and how that has been so for you so far. Like let us know. Let us share. Let us know. Then outbound. When it comes to outbound, the strategies that a lot of gurus, and I'm about to go into a tangent, bear with me. The strategy a lot of gurus are teaching is cold calling. Why is this? I have got no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. It is a terrible marketing channel, if I'm being totally transparent, and here's why. And again, this is my opinion, but I think it's a terrible marketing channel. Firstly, it's very unpredictable. When you're tracking your KPIs for cold calling, you have to have a significant amount of dials in order to have a single conversation. You've got to have multiple conversations to get a single contract. Then you have to have several contracts to even close the deal. So overall, the output for this channel is it's a bit ridiculous. And let's not forget to mention that it's become so heavily restricted. And if you just so happen to call the wrong person, you'll have a lawsuit on your hands. Believe me, I have learned from experience. There are people that are out there who are on the DNC list, the do not call list, that intentionally will let cold calls go on just so they have a track record of the call log that they can use in court. I know this from experience. So, would I recommend this strategy to focus on? Absolutely not. If this is the channel that you're going to be diving into, and this is all you're focusing on, there's a really good probability that you're going to burn out. This is also, just again, food for thought. But if you're cold calling a list, do you honestly think you are the only one calling that list. No. You are calling homeowners who are getting calls from every other wholesaler out there back to back, and people wonder why they are getting cussed out when they cold call. Blows my mind. So, focusing on this channel, essentially, if that's all you're doing, it's going to put such a big dent in your business, and it will put you 10 steps behind. And again, I could talk all day about this. I really, really can. But ultimately, I think it's a dead marketing channel. These are my points, and these are just the points that I have to get across because I would not recommend anybody to do it. And if you're listening to a coach or you're listening to a mentor and they're preaching that you need to be cold calling, I personally, truthfully, I highly suggest that you find a new teacher because they're probably setting you up for failure. And if this is a channel that they're still preaching on, then there's a good probability that they're not actively practicing the business themselves, at least not as heavily. Now, this also goes for cold SMS and even ringless voicemail. These channels are becoming extremely restricted, especially if your lead did not opt in to receive messages. You can have a massive lawsuit on your hands if you're targeting somebody on a do not call list, if you're sending out messages to individuals who did not opt in to receive the message in the first place. And ringless voicemail itself is also a big no-no too. So you can have a massive lawsuit on your hands if you just so happen to do this to the wrong person. Now, aside from that, you've also got door knocking. You've got mailers. You've got email marketing, bandit signs. And I would say bandit signs for inbound simply because it's a hybrid. You've got bandit signs, driving for dollars, networking, going out to real estate events. And then you got cold social outreach. Cold social outreach is not reaching out to homeowners. It is reaching out to other agents or other wholesalers through Facebook, through Instagram, sending them DMs. This is a totally different ball game. Totally different ball game. So, man, overall, outbound marketing, it's not a channel you want to ignore. You do want to put them into play. For example, mailers. Mailers are really great, but they do have a longer sales cycle. They have a longer sales cycle. Mailers are typically 6 to 9 months before you start seeing some stuff coming in. Okay. And you need to be consistent with mailers as well. And you also want to implement, I'm going to give y'all a little bit more of a nugget. You want to implement geofencing, especially when you're doing outbound marketing. Okay. But aside from that, if you are using outbound marketing, let us know what you're doing. What are some marketing strategies that you're implementing on outbound and how are they working for you? Are you doing cold calling? Are you doing cold SMS? What is the ROI you've gotten on it? What does it look like? Like just break it down. Break it down. All right. So far we've covered inbound, we've covered outbound. But what channels can we target that are free? Well, you've got attorneys. Attorneys could be a really great starting point. And kind of like cold calling and kind of like agents, it may be a hit or miss. It depends on the attorneys that you're talking to. But it may be a good starting point. So you have attorneys, okay? And it's so funny. It's kind of funny. Why attorneys? I recently had a conversation with an escrow agent out of a title company in Waxahachie, and it kind of blew my mind. But what she informed me on was the majority of the transactions that they were working on, the majority of the folders that they had were actual individuals who were getting a divorce. And when she told me that, it like light bulb lit up. I was like, there's no freaking way. How am I not hitting divorce attorneys as hard as I should be? That was the majority of their transactions were going through divorces. It's insane. So she also really kind of like emphasized that, those individuals actually really did have a need for the services that we can offer. So what does that mean for us? What does it mean for you? It means you need to be reaching out to attorneys, especially divorce attorneys. And again, it could be probate, it could be divorce, but you need to be reaching out to them. And you may be able to provide them, again, you may be able to provide them and their clients a service that can bring them just a bit of relief. So that is a really, really good source. You do not want to overlook it. Then you have properties on the MLS. MLS? You offer on the MLS? Yes. Why is the MLS a good resource? Well, for starters, every property that's listed on the MLS is a seller that obviously is trying to sell their property. The MLS is public data. It's a public database of motivated sellers. But the key here is you want to make sure that you're able to contract the property well under the list price. So that way, when you go to find a buyer for the property, you're not presenting them a deal where you're asking $200,000 while the property is listed on the MLS for $205,000. Because all that's going to show is that you do not know what you're doing and it's not a value add at all. There's no value add that you're bringing to that investor. But if you present a property at 170,000 while it's listed at 200,000, then you have something to work with. Okay? Because now you're providing value to that investor. That is a $30,000 difference you just knocked off. That is value. That's a value add. The other channel that I'd also encourage is nursing homes. Nursing homes are, well, in nice terms, they're a pool of seniors who really need to sell their properties. So your service can actually be extremely beneficial to them and their families. But the key to nursing homes is not only is, oh man, is not only to build, like you're not only there to build a relationship with the management team, but you also want to ensure that you have really good branding, as that is going to create credibility. And with this group, with nursing homes, that's going to be key, because what do you think the management team is going to do? They're probably going to look you up. And if you don't have any branding for your company, what is the likelihood that they're going to take you very seriously? Probably slim to none. Next, you have fire damage. And this is where you can call like your local fire departments. You can ask for, a list of fire damage properties that they've responded to in the last 30, 60, or even 90 days. And they should be able to provide you a list that you can then skip trace and reach out to the homeowners. Now, is this a cold call? Yes. But are you cold calling just anybody? No. These are individuals who just had their entire home engulfed in flames. Okay. So this is probably somebody that might need your help. Okay. If that makes sense, let us know. Let us know in the Q&A, or let us know in the chat if that makes sense. But overall, you want to be sure when you're doing fire damage, you want to be sure that you're double checking that the homeowners are not listed on a DNC list. Okay. Even though they're in that situation, make sure they're not on a DNC list. You can go to Google, type in DNC list registry, you plug in a number, and it will let you know if somebody is or is not on that list. So after you skip trace them, make sure they are not listed on a DNC list. Lastly, we have door knocking. Pretty self-explanatory, but if this is a channel that you're implementing, you want to make sure that you're doing it in the right areas. It doesn't make sense to be door knocking in zip codes with very little cash transactions. And the same goes for driving for dollars or even putting out bandit signs. So again, I've been talking about this. I've dropped very little nuggets on this, but you're going to want to learn how to implement geofencing. So when you're using several of these strategies to really target these leads, you're doing so in the right areas. You're doing it in the right areas. That is key for outbound marketing, especially when it's physical, like a bandit sign. You do not want to place a bandit sign where there's zero cash transactions in the last 12 months. You don't want to do it because you're not going to get any results from it. So you need to understand geofencing and how to plug that into your business. So far, we've covered quite a bit. I know it's a lot of information that we've thrown at you guys. How are we doing so far? Let us know. Throw in some bombs if we're dropping nuggets, if we're doing good. Let us know. But it's a lot of information. Let's keep going. Okay. So we've hit a lot of really good points, but ultimately, which leads are really the best to target? Well, when you're looking at inbound, outbound, and the free channels, there are overlapping marketing channels, which really hits a sweet spot. That's going to be agents and wholesaler outreach using the MLS, building relationships and credibility with nursing homes, reaching out, even something like this, reaching out to title companies and possibly, again, even probate or divorce, I was going to say divorce attorneys. I don't know why that was such a tongue twister. And contacting your local fire department. Attend, and on top of that, you want to attend networking events. And, even though some of these may not be, or, this one particularly, it's not going to be free, but bandit signs, man, I cannot emphasize enough. Bandit signs are still a good source to generate some leads. Still a good source. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine a couple of weeks ago, and he and I had a conversation before that, like maybe a month and a half ago. And I was just really providing some consultation to him. And I was like, look, man, find out what the hottest zip codes are in your market. Go to Walmart, buy the materials you need, put together a bandit sign, and throw it out in that zip code. Put him in the zip code. And he did. And a month and a half later, he had 2 deals come from it. One of them fell through, but one of them, last we talked, was pending with the potential $17,500 assignment. This cost him less than $30 to do. All he did was go to Walmart, buy the materials, put it out. $30, you're spending $30 and you're making 17.5. I don't even know what the ROI on that is, but that's insane. That's insane. Okay. So that is how powerful geofencing can be with the right strategies. And that is also why I say, and I believe, bandit signs are still a really good source to generate some leads. Okay. Now that pretty much wraps up our marketing segment. So let's start diving in a little bit more on systems and processes. So, systems and processes. This is going to correlate back to EOS. Now, ultimately, there's really 2 kinds of systems that you have. You've got hard and you've got soft systems. Your hard systems are your daily tools. They're essentially what you need, you and your team, what y'all are going to need for the company to run efficiently and smoothly. Like, these are very important. Your soft systems, these are going to be your SOPs and your KPIs. And we've talked a little bit about like SOPs and a bit already on KPIs. So what we're going to really, I guess, focus on is more so the hard systems. So let's check it out. All right. So there's so many tools out there. So many tools out there, but you're going to need to have several tools in order for you to run a successful company. So here are a few that I believe are, let me pull this over here. Bear with me. Gotta throw the charger on. Laptop is dying. There we go. Perfect. So there's a few systems that I believe you're really going to need that are just absolutely foundational. Okay. So firstly, you need a CRM. Now there are tons out there, and I hate to say this, but I've had my fair share of using CRMs. Like, I've been around the block when it comes to using CRMs. Here at DBRU, we use like we use our proprietary DBRU CRM, and this has been built out specifically, for our needs, including wholesaling. But ultimately, you're also going to want to need a really good financial management tool that will keep you up to date with your expenses, your invoices, payroll, and also even your taxes. Like if you have this in play, your CPA is going to love you. We use QuickBooks. It's easy to use, it's powerful, and we were able to connect it directly to our business bank account. And again, QuickBooks, I don't know if y'all how familiar y'all are with it, but it just makes life so much easier for your CPA. It really, really does. So that's what we're currently using as far as our financial management tool. But you're also going to need a tool that your team can use to have internal communication. And we use Slack. Slack is a phenomenal tool, and you could do it. You could do a lot with it on just like their free plan is phenomenal. It's incredible, and you could do so much with it. It's Slack is the way to go. Truthfully, if you're looking for a comms platform, Slack. I don't think there's anything out there that really competes with it. True, like I really don't think there is. But again, these are the tools that we use. And just because we use these tools, it doesn't necessarily mean that these are going to be the ones that work for you. There's again tons and tons out there for you to look into. And so, for example, like productivity suites, we use Microsoft 365. Some people don't like Microsoft. Some people prefer Google. I don't prefer Google. I prefer Microsoft. So what I encourage is, and don't get me wrong, there's still a lot out there that we haven't really, talked on, but I encourage you to really play around with, a few of these systems to really determine like what's going to work best for you and your company. And again, as much as I'd really like to say, there's one size that fits all, it's just not the case. It's really not. So yeah, it's not the case. But you will need a really good, out of all these, you're going to need a really, really good productivity suite. And again, you've got Microsoft 365, you've got Google Suite, you've got Dropbox Business, Apple iWork, or even Zoho Workplace. Now, these are like really foundational, but you still need, again, a few more systems for your company to really run smoothly. So, like, for example, how are you going to send over a purchase to sell agreement to a homeowner or a contract? Or to like, how are you going to send it to a homeowner? How are you going to send it to an agent or another wholesaler if you're doing a joint venture? If you don't have a tool like PandaDocs or DocuSign set up, like you're not going to be able to, or you can, it's just going to be very difficult. But you see what I'm saying? Like there are other tools that you're going to need. These are just the ones that I listed on, like these here on the slide are the ones I listed because these are the ones that I think are really foundational for you to have a smooth operating process for your company. So overall, when it comes to soft systems, there's really not a how-to guide for the most part, and there's no one size fits all. You have to play around and see what works best for you and your team. And when you do, all of your processes, they need to be documented. These are going to be your SOPs. Let's press forward. Now, business ethos. This is the final pillar to building a successful company. But before we start diving into it, let's kind of recap a little bit. We've talked about EOS, talked about implementing that into your business and into your company. And we've talked about why it is essential, why it's important. You have to have EOS if you want to build a company that is going to last for years and a company that is really going to be able to scale. Otherwise, you are treating your business as a hobbyist. You are a business owner. You are an entrepreneur. You're not a wholesaler. You're not just an investor. You're an entrepreneur. Think as an entrepreneur. Think as a business owner. Have business principles put in place. We've looked at the different lead sources: direct to agent, direct to wholesaler, direct to seller. Within those lead sources, we looked at different marketing channels for inbound, outbound, free channels, and a hybrid of all of them. The hybrid, the sweet spot. We've tackled so much so far. And I really, again, I hope all of you guys, I hope all of y'all had a pen and paper handy and y'all have been taking notes. I really do. And if we have been just providing nothing but value so far, let us know. Like, let us know in the chats. And again, if y'all have questions, let us know. Um, so, it's a lot. It is a lot, but we're almost done. Let's dive into business ethos. So, man, again, this is the final pillar to really building a successful company. It's really also a core principle that you need to be able to scale your business to 7 figures. This pillar is probably one of the most important elements to business as a whole. Like, as a whole, this is probably going to be one of the most important elements. What is it? What makes you so valuable that you become invaluable? What is the secret to stratospheric success, as Bob Burke puts it? It's being a go-giver. You see, the more value you're able to bring to others, the more invaluable that you're going to become. It isn't having the mentality of what's in it for me, but it's more so what can you do for others? If you focus on serving, you will build a reputation and a network that will want to do repeat business with you. So be relational, not transactional. This is why we're always preaching this. This is why we're always telling our students to be relational, not transactional, because this is how you build consistency in your business. This is how you build a solid reputation. This is how you do it, by being relational, by providing so much value to others. That is the key secret, quote unquote, secret to obtaining stratospheric success. Be relational and not transactional. So, before we keep going, we're going to take a quick 10 minutes for a quick Q&A. So if you have any questions, throw them in the Q&A section. My team's going to review them. We'll review them and we'll do our absolute best to answer them. But again, we only have 10 minutes. So, unfortunately, again, we're on a hard time, but let's start diving into it. Do we have any big Q&As?
Not right now, but someone said, thank you for all the nuggets. I have 2 pages of notes.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. I love that. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this moment with us, because this is such a monumental moment. It really is. So for everybody that's here, everybody that's joined us, thank you all for just being a part of this process with us. And we really put this together with so much thought on how we could provide so much value to all of you in such a little time. So again, thank all of you for being here, really.
We do have somebody from Florida here. Or South Carolina.
Florida, South Carolina. I love it. DFW, our backyard. Man. Cool. Well, if everybody's good to go on the Q&A section, no worries at all. Let us know so we can continue to press forward and start hitting, I guess, like the wrap up for the most part. But yeah, just let us know so we can continue to press forward. Oh man, my coffee's cold. My coffee's cold. I'm starting to get parched. I'm not parched. I'm not getting parched. I'm losing my voice. Everything looking all right? Everybody ready to go? All right, let's keep going. Cool beans, cool beans. So,
Oh, somebody just said when's the next one?
oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a great question. We will keep you posted. I love that so much. That is awesome. So, what what's next? Again, that was a ton of information, right? Now, said it yourselves, like we've dropped a lot of golden nuggets. We really just covered the key elements that business owners, pay tens of thousands of dollars for, and it just blows my mind, right? We put all of this together, and again, we put all this together for all of you for free. But now the question comes down to this: what are you going to do with this information? The last thing that I want to happen is nothing blossoms from this training at all in your lives. So we want to offer you guys an open invitation where you can actually schedule a simple basic meeting with one of our team members, allowing us to kind of hear more about your story, what you're currently doing, and how that's working for you, just so we can really better understand what your goals are, just to see if there's anything that we can do to possibly help you put today's training into action, because all of this means absolutely nothing. Again, this comes down to traction. All of this means nothing if you do nothing with it at all. And if you feel that, us being able to come in and help you put your VTO together and really dial in to your marketing strategies, if you feel that might be, kind of what you're looking for, the guidance that you're looking for, we could talk about the possible next steps. And if this sounds like it may be what you're looking for or even needing, just let us know in chat. We'd be more than happy to schedule a call with y'all and really go a little bit further on an individual level and figure out how we can actually help y'all put this stuff into action. Okay. Now, some of y'all from Florida, some of y'all are from South Carolina. So don't take our word for it. Like, the training has been great, but don't just take our word for it. These, like, let's talk about results, okay? We have had countless of students who started with little to no experience and went on to close deals worth tens of thousands, and if not more. For example, our student equity partner, Lawrence, he's got 2 deals pending as of right now, Palo Pinto and Canberra. They're both pending, and they are pending for a total assignment where he's like the total assignment. And I'm not joking. I could show the contracts. The total assignment is projected to be a total of $160,000. Now, don't get me wrong, that's really not typical. Like, that is definitely not typical. But what is typical is we have more than one individual. Look, for example, like we have Jackie. Jackie's made about 32K, like $32,000 simply on 2 deals. Then you got Sam. Sam is the individual I told you guys about the bandit signs. He's the guy that we hopped on the phone call within that month and a half period that led to that 17 and a half, 17, $17,500 assignment. And it doesn't end there. Another one of our students who, this is gonna blow your mind. I hope he's in this chat. I really do. This is gonna blow your mind. This kid is 15 years old. He is 15 years old. He took everything that we have thrown at him and he plugged it in. And now he has the potential to make an assignment over $2 million. It is insane. And that's no exaggeration. It is a massive land development deal, and it blows my mind. It's insane. But overall, like, these are not just like isolated cases. These are the norm when you follow systems. When you put in systems and processes, you get results. And we've seen it from people from all walks of life. We've done stuff with teachers, with engineers, stay-at-home parents, and overall, it's been able to really transform their, not just their financial situations, but their lives. And the results are just like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's overwhelming, but it is overwhelming in a really, really great way. But what is the common thread here? They all followed actionable steps that we teach them, and they stayed committed to their goals. But how did we help them actually achieve their goals? And what systems am I even, I guess, referring to? So we have got DBRU University. And before you think, oh, here's another guru, no, this is not that. This isn't just like a course. This is real education. There's no fluff, there's no bullshit with it. It is just raw education of what actually works. DBRU University has got 18 classes, 18, 17 of which are queued for development, where we're teaching business strategies and operations. We've got wholesaling, fix and flips, buy and holds, syndication. Like there's so many more that we have on it. So no, it's not your typical course. That's not what this is. And every student, also keep in mind too, what sets this apart from everything else is every student is going to have to, one, they're going to have to take the wholesaling class as a prerequisite in the university, because it really does lay the foundation for every other class, such as creating and implementing your VTO, deal analysis and underwriting, contract structure, systems and processes, and like just so much more. Now, every student is also going to be assigned, and this is what's really cool. Every student is assigned their very own coach, because we want to be able to make sure that all of our students who come through fully comprehend the material that we're teaching them. But we also want to ensure that we hold them accountable by putting everything into action. So throughout our classes, you're assigned homework and tasks, you've got pop quizzes, and at the end of it, you're going to have a final exam. At the end of each lesson, for example, the wholesaling real estate class has got 63 lessons itself. At the end of each lesson, or at the end of each, I should say, I guess, class or module, at the end of each module, you have to sit down with your coach. You have to schedule a time to actually meet with your success coach. And you're going to have to show proof of completion for all the homework and tasks. You're going to have a passing grade point average of 80% or higher on all your quizzes and exams. So that way you can continue to progress throughout the class. So does this sound like your typical guru course where, you pay an arm and a leg and you learn some surface level information? Oh, and also the cherry on top is we also have live weekly calls where you can hop on and ask any questions that you've got and get real answers to. Like, our goal is to provide you the tools and resources that you need to succeed in your real estate journey. Like this, again, we're not here to teach you how to be a wholesaler. We're not here to teach you how to do fix and flips. We are here to teach you how to be an entrepreneur and implement these strategies into your business to where it is able to grow and scale. That is what we're here to teach you to do. We're here to provide you the tools and the resources you need to do these things. You're not going to get it anywhere else. Believe me, I have done a market analysis. There is no company that is out there that does that, because they don't care like we do. Our whole objective, our whole goal, our whole vision is to pour as much as we can into other individuals so they can succeed in real estate, no matter where you're coming from, no matter what walk of life you come from. That is our goal. Our goal is to provide you the tools and the resources that you need to be successful. We're not here to teach you how to be a wholesaler. We're not here to teach you how to do fix and flips. If you want to learn that, you can learn it on YouTube. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to teach you how to be a business owner, implementing systems and processes, having a vision for your life, having a vision for your company, and putting it into play. That's what we're here to do. And there's so much conviction behind myself, behind my team, as to why we're doing this. Again, remember at the very beginning, I broke down and explained to you what our vision was. We're here to revolutionize this industry by providing you guys everything you need to be successful overall. That's what we're here to do. Now, the university, that's just the stepping stone. That is the stepping stone. We're also looking to provide lending services. We're looking to allow you guys to be able to diversify your investments through a fund. If you need help with managing your properties, we're looking to do a property management company. If you need help setting up ads or getting inbound leads, we're going to have a marketing agency specifically tied to real estate. We are literally breaking down every aspect you could possibly imagine and bringing it to all of you to implement and put into your business, because there's so much that goes into this. So much more goes into this than these gurus online are explaining that they're talking about. Hell, you have gurus teaching you they should be cold calling. You should not be cold calling. It is a dying marketing channel. The thing with DBRU is we are so transparent. We're not going to sit here and sugarcoat anything. We are giving you what it is that you need to really dive in as a business owner and not just impact your life and your family's life, but also the other individuals you're bringing onto your team. Each person you bring onto your team, the bigger your company grows, the more hearts that you're touching, the more people that they go out and touch. Guess what? That stemmed from you. That's what business is all about. It's being relational, not transactional. Be relational, not transactional. So I know that was a lot, but now that we have a better understanding of, or that of what really DBRU is and kind of what we have to offer, if this is something that really sounds like it may be what you're looking for, or what you need to get to that next step or to get to that next level, book a call with their team. Just do it through the scheduling link in the chat. And again, it's a basic call. Our goal is to learn more about your story, where you're currently at, what action steps you're taking today, and where you want to go. Just to see if we can even help in the first place, because we might not even be able to. But during the call, if you feel that this is what you've been looking for, then we could discuss the possible next steps. And who knows, maybe this isn't just the call. Maybe it's the start of your actual, like the start of the journey, your journey to financial freedom. Let's make your real estate dreams, your real estate business a reality, and let's do it together. So again, if this sounds like this is the answer you've been looking for, click on the scheduling link, book your call, and let's really figure out and discover if this is actually something that is for you. And one last thing before we go, all of you will get an email that's going to cover today's training. And from all of us, again, here at DBRU, we're incredibly thankful for all of you joining and making it to the end with us. And lastly, one last thing. This recording is also going to be provided to you guys. You will have access to it. It will be on our Facebook group. It'll go through the email, and we'll also throw it on our YouTube channel as well. Initially, we were going to hold it for internal purposes only, so we could review it and get better. But we decided we will give you guys the recording, so that way if you missed anything, or if you need to go back and look over everything, you can. So from all of us at DBRU, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us and really just allowing us to make this happen. And we hope you guys have just a phenomenal weekend. Yeah. So hope you have a phenomenal weekend, and we'll work on getting the next date for the next webinar. We look forward to working with you guys. Thank y'all.